Welcome to Forest Economy. I'm your friend, Raccoon. In this forest, we don't use money. Everything, and I mean everything, is measured in walnuts. Now, you still hear some animals muttering under their breath. Is climate change even real? But let me tell you, the forest market answered that question a long time ago. While some are still debating, the shrewdest animals, the ones who think like giant corporations, have already started cashing in. They're turning warming skies and rising waters into piles and piles of walnuts. Take DAOs, for example. They run the forest's biggest insurance firms. You know what they're doing? They're literally erasing entire meadows from their maps. Too risky, they say. Too prone to fires or floods. So, no more coverage. Good luck, field mice. Then you have these northern deer running massive hedge funds. They're not buying stocks. They're buying up water rights to freshwater springs, treating them like the new gold. Meanwhile, the big energy giants, the old badgers and bears who've been digging up the forest floor for years, are now parading around, painting themselves as green heroes, promising a cleaner tomorrow while their pockets jingle with walnuts. So, you see, this isn't just a crisis. For the big players, it's the business opportunity of a lifetime. It's a massive, planetary-scaled crisis being sliced up, packaged, and sold for walnuts. Think about it. The British Forest Empire. It was built on a mountain of coal. The American Forest Empire. It wrote its epic saga with slick, black oil. History shows us, time and again, that whichever animal or whichever nation controls the dominant energy resource rules the forest. And the fall of every great empire, it almost always began when that critical resource started to dwindle. So, when you hear whispers that the climate crisis is about to completely reshape the global economy, it's not an exaggeration, it's an understatement. Because this time, the crisis isn't just about a single resource running out. This time, the crisis is the product. Let's travel back for a moment. During the Industrial Revolution, coal wasn't just energy. It was the world's currency. By 1850, the British forest was producing more coal than the rest of the world combined. This wasn't just fuel. It was the very foundation of their empire. It's fascinating, really. As early as 1896, a clever squirrel scientist named Svante Arrhenius figured it out. He warned everyone that burning all this coal would heat up the atmosphere. And what did the forest do? Absolutely nothing. The profits were too good. Then the 20th century roared in, and oil became the new king. It was the age of black gold. From Rockefeller's Standard Oil, a behemoth that controlled nearly all American oil, to the rise of OPEC, a cartel of oil-producing nations. The rule was simple. Whoever controlled the flow of oil held the levers of global power. But here is a darker secret. In the 1950s, scientific squirrels working for Exxon, one of the biggest oil giants, ran the numbers. Their models were terrifyingly accurate. They predicted that by our time, the planet would warm by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. And what did they do with this bombshell prediction? They buried it. They hid the truth for decades to protect their walnut hoard. Finally, after years of denial, the governments of the forest started to wake up. But instead of punishing the polluters, they did something different. They decided to put a price on pollution. In 1997, the Kyoto Protocol was signed, and for the first time, it created something called an emission permit. It was a radical idea. Animals and companies who polluted less could sell their leftover permits to those who polluted more. So, did pollution actually decrease? Not really. It just got sold. It became a commodity, traded from one part of the forest to another. Then, in 2005, the European Union launched the world's largest carbon market. This was the big league. Every year, transactions worth trillions of walnuts took place. On paper, the system looked brilliant. It was supposed to incentivize cleanup. In practice, it was often a total lottery. Some forest projects claimed to be reducing huge amounts of carbon, but when you looked closer, nothing was really changing. They did take credit for protecting a patch of forest that was never in danger of being cut down anyway. Some of the trees they claimed to have planted, well, they didn't even exist. It was a shell game, shuffling walnuts around while the atmosphere kept heating up. Then, around 2010, a new gold rush began. Wind and solar power. Suddenly, they weren't just niche alternatives. They were the hottest investment in the forest. Every animal, from the smallest shrew to the largest bear, accessorios, to get a piece of the action. A company like Tesla rose meteorically, becoming the new Standard Oil of our time. Why? Because it wasn't just selling electric cars, it was selling a vision of a clean future. But this green revolution has a dirty secret. It's created a new kind of extractive empire. And the quiet, undisputed leader of this empire, China. Today, they control over 60% of the entire global supply chain for rare earth minerals, the essential ingredients for everything from wind turbines to electric car batteries. We traded one dependency for another. And just when you thought it couldn't get any stranger, something truly mind-bending happened. The disaster itself became an investment product. I'm talking about catastrophe bonds, or cat bonds. Here's how they work. An investor, say a big badger fund, essentially bets on the weather. They tell an insurance company, I'll give you this pile of walnuts. If there's no major hurricane in Florida this year, you pay me back with a hefty profit. But if a massive storm does hit, the investor loses their money, and it goes to the insurance company to help pay for the damages. By 2023, this market 40 billion walnuts. Isn't that the ultimate irony? The worse the climate gets, the more volatile the weather, the higher the potential profits for those betting on disaster. Remember ESG, environmental, social, and governance. It started as a way for conscientious investors to put their walnuts into ethical companies. It was about conscience. Then it became about business. Big business. By 2022, the value of assets labeled as ESG reached a staggering 40 trillion walnuts. Government are pouring fuel on this fire. The U.S. passed a bill called the Inflation Reduction Act. It sounds boring, but it's a 370 billion walnut mega package. And who's it for? The future of the planet. Not really. It's a massive subsidy buffet for industry. Big corporate animals are lining up, emerging from behind the trees with their paws out, collecting walnuts and saying, government subsidy. Yes, please. The European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism isn't really about environmental justice either. It's a tool of economic leverage, a way to protect their own industries from foreign competition. The financial world is adapting too. Forest banks are now calculating climate risk into your mortgage. Want to buy a house criterios the river? That'll be a higher interest rate. Thank you. Water sources, land at higher elevations, and drought-resistant farmland are no longer just land. They are the new prime assets for investors seeking what they call climate alpha. There are entire funds dedicated to waiting for disaster, ready to swoop in and buy up distressed assets for pennies on the walnut. Crisis has always been bought and sold throughout history, but this is different. Now, the very fate of our planet is being traded on the open market. So, next time you hear someone say, "I don't believe in climate change," you can tell them the market doesn't care. The market says, "I believed a long time ago, and I've been profiting from it ever since." Because in this new world, everything has a price. The biggest crisis of our century has officially become the biggest asset class. I'm Raccoon. Join me next time as we uncover even deeper secrets of the forest economy. If you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to the Forest's channel. Thanks for watching.